Good morning, Roadrunners. This is Miss Newberry coming to you today to talk about brass instruments. So I brought my favorite brass instrument, which is my trumpet, and I'm going to start with a song on my trumpet. This is an old song. It's more than 200 years old now. It's called The Trumpet Voluntary. So that's what the trumpet sounds like, and the trumpet is a brass instrument. We're talking about the brass family today. Some other members of the brass family, which I don't have to show you today because I'm stuck at home, are the trombone and the tuba and the French horn and the euphonium. So I would, if you're interested in brass instruments, go ahead and look those up on the internet and check them out, because brass instruments come in all different shapes and sizes. The trumpet is one of the smallest brass instruments, so it gets a high sound, but the really big brass instruments get a very big low sound. So whatever sound you like, you can find it in the brass instruments. I want to show you how brass instruments work. What I have to do to make a sound on a trumpet or any brass instrument is I have to buzz my lips like this. That's what makes the sound. I buzz my lips into this part, which is called the mouthpiece. Usually the mouthpiece would be made of metal, but mine's made of plastic, and the great thing about a plastic mouthpiece is you can get it in whatever color you want. So I got pink because I like pink. So you put the mouthpiece on your mouth and you make that buzzing sound with your lips. What do you think that sounds like? Students in the past have told me that that sounds like a giant mosquito. I think that is kind of what it sounds like. Now, well, look what happens when I put the mouthpiece into the trumpet. The trumpet becomes an amplifier to make that sound louder, the sound of my buzzing lips. And that's how you make the sound on a brass instrument. Now, if you want to see how that feels, but you don't have a mouthpiece at home, you can make your hand into a mouthpiece. So make your hand into a fist like this, then open it up just a little bit so you can see through it. Okay, now your hand can be like a mouthpiece, and you can see what it feels like to blow a brass instrument. You could even change the sound by opening and closing your hand. So if any of you out there are thinking that you might want to play a brass instrument in the band, that's what you have to get used to, is buzzing your lips. I want to show you some historical brass instruments and the way that people have made brass instruments over time. So the first brass instruments would have been things that people could find in nature, like cow horns or horns from other animals. Sometimes seashells can be trumpets. So here is a cow horn. I want to blow the cow horn for you. Now you can see it's kind of short. It's probably going to get a high sound, right? I wouldn't call it a pretty sound, but it does get a pretty loud sound. So people would have used these in prehistoric days to signal to each other. If someone was far away on the other mountain and you needed to send them a signal, you could blow a signal on your cow horn. So let's look at some other things that people made. Let's see. In Africa they also use horns to make instruments. Sometimes they might find really long horns from sheep or goats, but sometimes they do this. They took two different horns and put them together. You know, they can even use elephant tusks to make horns too, really long horns. So this is actually two different horns put together. And look at this. The mouthpiece is carved into the side. So the mouthpiece doesn't always have to be at the end. It can even be in the side of the instrument. Let's see if I can get a sound on this one. Are you ready? So that's an African side-blown trumpet made from horns. Let's see. Lots of people used horns to make trumpets. And in fact, one of the instruments in the brass family is called the horn, and that's why, because brass instruments long ago were really made from horns. So people in Europe also used horns. People in the Jewish faith use a ram's horn, a really long curly ram's horn in their church services. Now, this is long, so it's going to be hard to show you all of it at the same time. Look how long it is. I think it's about 4 feet long. This is a special kind of trumpet called a birch trumpet. It's made out of birch wood, and then it's wrapped around with the bark from the birch tree. They make trumpets like this in Norway and Sweden and Russia and Estonia and Lithuania, lots of countries in the north of Europe. Now, let me tell you some of the different names for this instrument. In Norway, they call it a lur. In Sweden, they call it the naverlur. In Russia, they call it the rotzok. There's a lot of different names for it. So let's hear what it sounds like. This one's made out of wood. So even though this trumpet doesn't have any valves for me to change the note, the valves are the buttons that I use to change the notes on my trumpet. Even though this trumpet has no valves, using my lips to change the note, I can still get a lot of different notes. That is the lure. Let's see. Now, as time went on, people got better at making things out of different materials. They learned how to make things out of metal. And they started making trumpets and horns out of metal. So this one's made out of copper and brass. Let's see what it sounds like. This is called a post horn. Long ago, I'd say maybe 100 years ago or a little more. In some places, even today, when the mail came to your town, the person on the mail coach would have a long trumpet or horn like this, and they would blow their trumpet or horn to let you know that the mail was there. That's why they call it the post horn. Well, let's see what else we got. Okay, so people wanted to use horns and trumpets when they were hunting or fighting in war. Back then they used to ride on horses, and it was hard to carry a long trumpet or horn like that on a horse. So they figured out that they could wrap it up in a circle. That would make it easier to carry on a horse. So this is a hunting trumpet, and let's see what kind of a song we can get from this trumpet. So that's the hunting trumpet, and you notice still I can get a lot of notes even though I have no valves like the modern trumpet. Here's another brass instrument that's made out of wood. It's called the cornetto. I don't know if you can see, but it has holes. It has holes in it like a recorder. So trumpet players found out they could get a lot of notes by changing their lips and their air, but they still wanted more notes. So somebody said, what if we put holes in a little wooden trumpet, and then we can change the notes with our fingers like we do on a flute or a recorder. This cornetto has a tiny little mouthpiece. It's made out of wood, but it's a lot like a trumpet mouthpiece, just smaller. So this instrument can get a lot of notes even without valves. So that's the cornetto. And it even looks a little bit like the African trumpet, doesn't it? We'll try to get them both in the picture there. All right, so other things people could have made trumpets out of, like I said before, shells, gourds. In Africa and in South and Central America, they made trumpets from gourds. Now, I don't have my shell trumpet and my gourd trumpet because they're at school and I can't go into the school right now. I had been planning to give you this program at school, so a lot of my instruments are at school. But think about that. People in the old days would take things that they found around in nature and they would make them into trumpets and horns. Now here we are. We're stuck in our houses because of quarantine. What can we find in our houses that we could make into trumpets and horns? I've been thinking about this. Maybe you can think of some things that I didn't think of. So that is my goal for you guys. That's the lesson for today, is to look around your house and see if you can find something that you can make into a trumpet or a horn. So here's some ideas that I had. You could use a cardboard tube. Now look at this. I found a really big cardboard tube. I think somebody sent a poster in this tube. It's a big mailing tube. You could use a smaller tube, like a toilet paper tube or a paper towel tube, or you know, it's really good. The tubes from inside of wrapping paper are really good. The longer your tube, the lower the note you're going to get, and smaller the tube, the higher the note you'll get. So this is a very long tube that should get a pretty low note, right? Let's hear it. That was such a low note that it might be a little bit hard to hear on your computer speakers, so you might want to put some headphones on to hear that note better. Now let's see, what else could we use to make trumpets? Of course, here's the thing that I have around my house. I have tons of these because I've been saving them. I have tons of soda bottles. So I thought, what if we cut off the bottom of a soda bottle? Could we make it into a trumpet? Now, this plastic is a little hard to cut, so get a grown-up to help you. Ask for their help. You can use a knife to cut it, or if you have strong, sharp scissors, those will work too, but definitely ask for an adult's help because the scissors and the knife can slip very easily while you're cutting this, and I want you to stay safe. So, once you get the bottom cut off of your soda bottle, you can make it into a trumpet, and here's what it sounds like. When you do this, whatever you use, it's fun to see if you can get low notes and high notes by changing your lips. By buzzing higher, you can get a higher note. Lower, you can get a lower note. That sounds a little bit like the siren exercise we used to do to warm up our voices, doesn't it? You can do a siren exercise on brass instruments too. So that's one soda bottle. Now the soda bottle's kind of short, so it doesn't get a lot of different notes. And I thought, what could I do to make it longer? Let's see. I took a piece of another soda bottle and then I put it like this to make my soda bottle trumpet longer. I didn't tape it yet, and I'll show you why in a minute. So this could be one way to make a longer trumpet if you have soda bottles. Again, to cut the soda bottles, you really need to ask another person help. Ooh, it's so noisy in my neighborhood today. There was an airplane going over, and now the trash truck is here. And of course, I'm out here making noise too. So here is my longer soda bottle trumpet. Now, here's a cool thing. Here's why I didn't tape it. Because I figured out If I don't tape it, then I can move it in to make the trumpet shorter and move it out to make the trumpet longer. That's called a slide. Some brass instruments work with slides, like the trombone. The trombone has a very big slide that you move in and out to change the notes. So here's my soda bottle slide trumpet. Alright. My gosh, it is so noisy here. I hope you can still hear me. Did I forget any trumpets? I think I showed you all the ones that I have today. So, let me just check and make sure I didn't leave anything out. No? Okay. So, look around your house and see what you have that you could use to make a trumpet. And please let me know in a comment or take a picture or a video, because I would love to see what you can do. Ooh, I did forget one trumpet. Do you remember the side-blown trumpet from Africa? It had a mouthpiece carved into the side like that. Well, I thought maybe a soda bottle could make a good side-blown trumpet. And when I took a trip to Cuba last year, I saw that they use big pots to make into trumpets. They're called botijuelas. So I thought, what if we could use a soda bottle to make a botijuela? How would that work? So I made a hole about the size of a quarter in the side of the soda bottle. And again, this is going to be low. You might need headphones to hear the note because it's so low, and also because the trash truck is still making a lot of noise. You know what? I'm going to take a break while the trash truck is making noise. I'm going to play you another song on my modern trumpet. My modern trumpet is louder, and when the trash truck is gone, I'll play you the softer instrument. Hello, how are you? Trash truck is on his way out. Bye, trash truck. So let's try the soda bottle botijuela. Okay, so I'm blowing in the side of the soda bottle in the little hole the size of a quarter that I made. Oh no, the trash truck is about to make a lot of noise again. Time for another loud song. Instruments use something called the harmonic series that lets us get a lot of notes without even pushing the valves down to change the notes. Let's see how many notes I can get without pushing my valves down. Are you ready? How many was that? Did you count it? I wasn't counting, I was too busy blowing the trumpet. I hope the trash truck is almost done. Okay, there he goes. Bye-bye, trash truck. I think the trash truck is a percussion instrument. It sounds like a lot of really big metal drums sometimes. Alright, where were we? Back to this one. Alright. My soda bottle, botijuela. Now there's a little hole the size of a quarter that I'm going to put my mouth on, and I'm going to buzz my lips to make the sound. Are you ready? It's going to be a low, soft sound. When we blow in the soda bottle like that, we are making the soda bottle into a Helmholtz resonator, just like we did when we made vessel flutes. Do you remember the vessel flutes? Also a low soft sound. So here's another way we can make a Helmholtz resonator. And I learned this from the batihuela players in Cuba. You can change the note by moving your hand over and off of the neck of the bottle, or putting your finger in and out of the neck of the bottle. So let's try that. Okay, so Roadrunners, your job is to find something in your house that you can use to make a brass instrument, a horn or a trumpet, and be creative. It doesn't have to be something I thought of. It could be something that I didn't even mention yet, like a hose. You can make a hosophone out of hose. My hosophone has a soda bottle bell. Let's see. I'm going to put my trumpet mouthpiece on my hosophone. See how it sounds. Another thing you could use to make a trumpet. Don't steal your parents' garden hose though, unless you have their permission, okay? So, see what you can use. Make a brass instrument. See what you have around your house that you could use. Send me your comments and pictures and videos so that I can see what we did, and then I'm going to see if we can work the brass instruments into our band arrangement that we've been working on with all the different instruments that we made at home. I'm going to play you a little tune to say goodbye. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.